Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at this Knicks and 76ers game 2 in the playoffs. Obviously, Knicks up 1-0. Also looked at that Orlando and Cleveland game 2 as well in a separate video, so make sure you check that out. Subscribe to the page if you would and continue to follow along. Also going to have the Denver Nuggets and Lakers game 2. That's the third game on Monday night. Going to be getting a video up about that early morning on Monday morning to get ahead of it. Also got that live stream 5:30 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you jump in that as well. Having a really good playoff so far after 2 really good days in the postseason, not 2 very good days in the play-in tournament. So happy that's behind us and that we're making our money back here after a rough play-in tournament, to be honest. Doing really well so far in these early going in the playoffs. So let's keep it rocking here and get into this Knicks and Sixers game. Knicks going to be healthy once again with everybody except Julius Randle, who's out for the season, as we know. But everybody that's available and played in game 1 will be there for game 2. So I don't think the rotations will change too much. We saw a lot of Bogdanovic in that last game, and I think we'll continue to see the same amount of he and Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench for this Knicks squad here in game 2. DeAnthony Melton is out still for this 76ers team on Monday, but he's been out for a long time, and the fact that he was even considered possible to return to this one on Monday night does mean that he might be back for this series, even in game 3 next. Joel, we know what happened with him, left game 1, came back in game 1, but still it didn't look the same. He's questionable for this one, but I imagine that he's going to be available to play. Got a bet for JoJo here in this video as well. A couple more best bets in this one. First, we're going to take a quick look at some of the key stats here from game 1. Obviously, a 7-point victory for the Knicks, but they shot incredibly well from 3. 16 of 35 from deep, good for almost 46% from beyond the arc. Better than their field goal percentage from 2-point as well. So you can see the 39.6% from the field overall, while they shot a really good percentage from deep. And dominated the rebounding as well. 60% of the boards on the rebound chances there for them. 26 second chance points. That's the key, and it's what a lot of us talked about before this series even got going, was can this really bad defensive rebounding Philadelphia team hang with the Knicks, who are the best offensive rebounding team, and get these second chance points in waves like they did here. They also got 27 fast break points, which is not what you're always going to see from this Knicks team, but it's why I liked the over originally in game 1, was the idea that maybe Philly doesn't get back as well, especially with Joel in there. We know that he's going to lumber back on defense a lot more than most because of that injury, and he's just so big, and his knees are hurting at this point, but he isn't really helping on the rebounding as either, which is huge. He does help down low, but this Knicks team has not been taking nearly as many shots around the rim as they once were, even last year and earlier in this season. So with all that in mind, like Joel's absence, or even his presence rather, on defense, not that big of a deal for this Knicks team, who doesn't really try to score down low anyway, which is kind of why I don't know how many points will be available in this one moving forward. But that is my first best bet from this game, Knicks and Sixers under 209.5. And I hit the over in the first game and it got it right. It cashed, but I'm going under in this one because I don't like the way that Joel is moving, and I don't like the way that this game started to look once the second half came around, right? And it was a little bit different version of Embiid in the game. Plus, this Knicks team wasn't quite as hot in that second, really in the fourth quarter. They got hot again. They got really cold in the third. I don't want to have to bank on them being really hot from 3 when this Philadelphia team is normally a very good defensive team around the perimeter, allows the fewest threes in the league, I believe, on the season. So I do think that the way that the Knicks rely on these threes, and the way that the 76ers team won't be as fast-paced or efficient on offense with a 70% Joel Embiid that's going to be walking around on the floor for them, yeah, they're not going to be as dangerous from him kicking back out to 3-point shots and all that. So we're going under 209.5, half a unit to kick off this betting for this game. Second bet I have here might be my favorite play of this round of games, and certainly from this game. I'm taking Bojan of the Bojan version of Bogdanovic to go over 9.5 points at this one. You can get it for 10.5. I would make sure you get at least like -110 on that if you're going to take 10.5 over, rather than any kind of worse juice than that, or worse odds, because I still think 10 to 13 is probably a good range for him, but I do think that he's good for the 10. So what I saw in game 1 was Bogey playing a very significant role. He's what I call the adult in the room alongside Jalen Brunson. Once you get into the playoffs, you really do want to make sure that you trust the dudes that are going to be handling the ball for you. And honestly, as far as playmaking goes and creating his own shot, only Jalen Brunson is better on this team than Bogdanovic. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see that Tibbs who played him in 25 minutes in this game one, and didn't really ever play him 25 minutes. He played 25 minutes, I believe, in like a third of the games that he played on the Knicks since coming over to New York. But now it's playoff time, and like this is the dude that Tibbs is going to trust, and we know he just overplays dudes that he trusts because he hates having guys out there that he doesn't. In the 12 games that he's played with the Knicks, where he's recorded at least 20 minutes or more, he got 10 plus points in 10 of those games, right? Really high hit rate, 90 something percent of the games that he played this many minutes, and he got more minutes than 20 in game one. So you can still expect 20 to 25 minutes for Bogey in game two. And he not only is like going to be the dude handling the ball alongside Jalen Brunson as playmaker number two, he's also got the second best shot chart in terms of him shooting consistently from the spots on the floor that this 76ers team is weakest. And really the weakest part of the defense is the mid-range, right? And all this stuff, sort of like the extended paint, all the stuff that Bogey wants to do, including getting to the rim, because he also will get foul shots, which Philly gives up a ton of free throws, really bad at fouling. Knicks had 28 free throw attempts in game one. Bogey had 4 of them, only went 2 of 4, which is annoying because he actually could have gotten more points. But if anything, I expect him to continue to take 3 to 4 free throws, as he does attack the rim pretty frequently, and this Philly team will give it up, and then make at least 3, if not all 4 of those free throws, as he's a very good free throw shooter, just missed half of them in game one. Still, even with bad shooting from the floor, 4 for 12 from the field, not efficient at all, 33%, right, shooting, not good field goal numbers there, but he still got those points because he went 3 of 6 from deep. So even if the three-point shooting regresses a little bit, the free throw shooting progresses back to the mean, and then this field goal percentage also gets better and closer to what he normally shoots, around 45% from the field. Then we're going to feel really good about Bogey with the volume that he has. So the minutes are going to be there. The shots will continue to be there because they're going to be relying on him to create shots for them and for himself. So we're going to take him for a full unit to go over 9.5 points in this one. Third bet for Philly and New York game 2, JoJo Embiid, who I am terrified to take any bets on, obviously knowing that he could very well just crumble and not come back at any point in this game. So we're going to stick with the first quarter stuff because I still think that the way that he scores in the first quarter and the way that he plays 12 minutes every first quarter, at least against the Knicks, he has every time he's played them this season, and consistently going over 11 to 12 minutes in the first quarter, right? That's what he does. He ends up playing most of that first quarter and getting his rest at the beginning of the second quarter until he comes back in for the second half of that second quarter. That's his rotation, and that's what I expect from him, even without that much health, is like, let's get him on the floor at the beginning before he wears down, which is what he does. I think he's shooting below 35% in the second half of like the majority of his playoff games since last season. Once that second half comes around, right back down to being a little bit more injured and hobbled and not being able to sort of maintain his pace from the first quarter throughout the rest of the game. 8 field goal attempts that he's averaging in the first quarter against this Knicks team in the 3 games he's played them in the regular season so far. Oh, I'm sorry, that includes this postseason game from the other day on Saturday. 13.3 points per game on 8 shots, plus you give him about 4 free throws as well. So all that leads to him having gone over this number in 32 of the 41 games that he's played this season, gone over this first quarter point total 78% of the time. Really nice hit rate for him against a team that, to be honest, like, there's also going to be a lot more Isaiah Hartenstein in the first quarter than you're going to see Mitch Rob. And Mitch Rob is much better at defending down low than Hartenstein, who's been pretty good for him, but still not nearly as good as Mitch Rob. And when Mitch Rob comes on the floor, Joel's already in his bag, right? There's not that much time left in the first quarter, so you still get the majority of these minutes from Embiid against an inferior defender such as Hartenstein. So we're going to keep backing him to get it early, even though he might not be able to get to the 30-point total for his entire game throughout the rest of the 3 quarters. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Going to be doing another video here for the Lakers and the Nuggets. Already got Cavs and Magic up, so make sure you check that out. Got about 3 or 4 bets in there that you want to make sure you get. Jump into the Discord as well. The link is in the description, free right now. Get in there and get some really good picks. I bring my stuff early. Also got some really good looks from the community in there. Having a really good time talking hoop and getting some really good looks that I wouldn't have otherwise had if I didn't have people bringing them to me the way that these homies in the chat do. So jump into there. Subscribe to the page if you would. It goes a long way to support the channel. Much appreciated. Until I see you next. Happy betting.